paint was, what, 30 years ago, and now it's coming back around, and now it's the raging thing, that whole lead paint thing. So yeah, it's different. We're going to talk about exclusions here in a minute, but again, there's certain things that that commercial policy is going to cover that your dwelling fire is not. So as they say, don't save a few bucks to hurt you in the long run. Anybody in here have an umbrella policy? Personal umbrella, I would assume. Too many people think that that personal umbrella, when you've got some rentals, you've got some investment properties, that it's a catch-all. It really isn't. There's some business pursuits exclusions in most personal lines umbrella policies that may bite you if you don't understand what they mean. I'm not saying there aren't carriers out there that will provide a combination umbrella. Cover your cars, cover your house, cover a couple small rentals, especially when you come to dwelling fire policies. But what all an umbrella really is additional liability coverage over and above underlying exposures. So you got your car, my wife and I have 2 cars, we've got the house, let's say we've got a boat. Those are 3 underlying types of liability coverage that we need. Instead of taking each of those to $1 million from the $500,000, let's say they have an underlying policy for $400, it's a lot more cost effective to get an umbrella over and above those 3 types of exposures. So we got a $2 million umbrella for a couple $100 a year. Now granted, we don't have any 16-year-old drivers yet, it'll go up significantly after that. By the way, that's my only visual aid of the day is that umbrella. Did you see that? So make sure you got it.
Okay.
But the personal umbrella is fine for those personal exposures. 99%, I wish I knew where I could render this quote or where I got this quote from, but 99% of liability claims are settled in the first $1 million. So believe it or not, I'm not here to push umbrellas. Don't get me wrong, if you want to buy an umbrella, and I've got a personal umbrella, but I do not have a commercial umbrella over and above our properties because statistically the chances of needing that money over and above that $1 million are slim to none. A claim is worth what it's worth. And what I mean by that is, when I first got in the insurance business, one of my first jobs, to make a long saga very, very short, was to handle small bodily injury liability claims. You know, hitting the rear end at the parking lot, those types of things. One of the first things we were taught is a claim is worth what it's worth. Just because you carry $3 million of coverage doesn't mean that that liability claim is worth $3 million. So what I'm driving at is, before you go spending the money on a commercial umbrella to cover 15 rental properties for an extra $1,000 a year, take that money for $300 an hour down to the attorney that spoke here and make sure all your proverbial ducks are in a row first. Then if that attorney advises you that an umbrella for your properties or for your investment business is a good idea, then do it. But statistically, you're going to get the coverage you need in that underlying. Statistically. Again, as I said, what's the third thing Mom says? Don't come crying to me. That's just my advice as an investor, not as the agent. Again, you think an agent would be up here, oh, you got to buy an umbrella policy. You get $3 million or $2 million of liability coverage for your cars driving down the street for a couple $100 a year. To me, I hope to waste all my money on that. That's not a bad deal. But to spend that additional premium for the higher liability limits, yeah. I mean, maybe if I had a couple $100 single-family rentals or 3,000 investment units where I could get a commercial umbrella for a few grand a year and it's economies of scale, then maybe. But in our world, traditionally, I don't know if I'd go there until I talk to the attorney and make sure that I'm spending my money in the right place.
Does your net worth factor into this?
I think it would. I mean, in other words, the more you're worth, the more you've got to protect.
It's on the flip side, because you can say, all right, the best thing to do is, I can take my rental property, I can dump it into an LLC, I can get a commercial policy on it, I've got stone walls built all around that thing. But that's also going to eat, 4 months of my profit out of the year just to do that operation. And on paper, I'm broke.
Sure.
I got 2 properties, both of them are completely underwater. Sure. I don't have anything worth having necessarily. I'm set up pretty light. I like my life, but on paper I look like a disaster.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I haven't done the LLC. I haven't gone and basically, built these fences between all the different potential liability sources. So is that the right way to be thinking about the problem, or is that?
I think the right way to be thinking about it is really take your world in front of the professionals that can give you the advice that's related not just to protecting your assets, but making sure you're paying as little as you can in taxes. Making sure that if you've got that next generation or plan for a next generation, that you're able to pass off enough as much as you can to them. I wish there were some panacea. I wish there were a magic bullet. Yep, check here, and you're good. Anybody heard of John Hire? John Hire, he a company called Real Estate Tax Law. He's a CPA, he's an attorney, he's an investor. He's out of Ohio, so I see him a lot more than most do. But he does travel the country and he speaks to different investor groups. Well, a couple things that he said. One is it's a moving target. And what he means by that is the laws change so frequently that you can think you've got this locked bed as you put a stonewall plan, but 6 months later they change the law here and it just screws everything up. Two, if you do too much of that, call it what it is, ultra savvy planning, you get in front of the judge and the 12 juries, and the 12 jurors, this is my words, not John's, all bets are off anyway. If they think you've set up an LLC with a trust around it, and even if you're the greatest guy in the world, if you look like a chiseler, they're still going to hit you with it. So when push comes to shove, do the best you can to protect your personal situation in a manner that makes you comfortable. And then, you can't say roll the dice, but then sleep well at night, because, you know, nobody's suit-proof. It's can you protect your things in the most efficient manner, I think is my attitude about it. You can get into the NEVIS, you can get into offshore planning and all that other kind of stuff for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. And at the end of the day, you know, if my $1 million doesn't cover it, or God forbid I T-bone somebody at a red light, then my $3 million total or $2.5 million doesn't cover it, then it wasn't meant to be. You can get insurance for about anything if you're willing to pay the premium for it, and get as much as you want. And that brings up another point. Remember I said insurance is a for-profit business for the insurance companies? I think I said it, at least I said it at lunch before we started.
Really?
Yeah, really, go figure. You know, at the end of the day, you can do all the planning in the world and think that that umbrella and all that liability covers there to protect you. I'll give you another kind of, call it a horror story. Had a client of ours, property manager, small property, managed a bunch of single families in, I forget what state it was, it might have been Indiana or Kentucky. Well, anyway, they had a property manager go out, collect the rent, you know, knock on the door, the lady hadn't paid rent, 5 days late. Well, not to be sexist, but the lady was fairly attractive, and somebody gave her the idea, well, maybe I'll use this guy for harassing, see if I can get a quick buck out of this thing. So that's what she did. She claimed sexual harassment on this property manager's employee. Well, there's no coverage under your liability policy for that. So you can have $50 million of liability coverage, and if that's what you need protection for isn't covered, then, you know, what you spend the money for. So that's why I think at the end of the day, your money's better spent, believe it or not, much as I hate to say it sometimes, sitting down with that attorney consistently. I'm not talking about every 2 weeks, but every year or two, making sure all your proverbial, pardon the cliche, ducks are in a row. I'm not saying, again, an umbrella is a bad thing. But I think people put the umbrella thing, I'm going to buy an umbrella and I'm good. Well, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. Hope you waste all your money on it. That's what insurance is all about anyway. You buy it, you never want to use it. Anybody here ever heard of a clue report? Anybody here at MIB? Not Men in Black, the movie, but, you know, Medical Information Bureau. Big Brother, it's a little Orwellian type thing where basically a clue is an acronym that stands for Comprehensive Loss Underwriting Exchange. And what it means is in the property sense is if you have a property claim or an address, a building has a property claim, the insurance companies share that information. So on an automobile clue, for instance, for your car insurance, you could be in a parking lot out here, back into the person next to you, claim is paid out, but hopefully the police department isn't there to give you any dings on your MVR. So it won't show up on a motor vehicle report, but that damage, if it's paid out by an insurance company, will show up on a clue report. Well, a clue report can give you prior loss information. And if you're dealing in the 1 to 4, you know, the single family market, you can go to LexisNexis, which is the company that administers these clues, and you can surf their site. I think you can either sign up for an account, for I think they're $6 or $7 a pop if you want to run one. And I think they give you one for free if you've got a quote-unquote interest in the property itself. To me, if I'm looking to buy it, I've got an interest in it. What that'll do is it'll tell you what type of claims. We all know that every seller discloses everything about the property, don't they?
Yeah, right.
So I've had clients that have actually gone to a clue report, found out there was 2 water claims in the last 3 years, and they've either reduced their offer, walked away from a deal, or negotiated a better deal out of the thing, just because of those claims. Not a big deal, maybe, maybe not, but I'd rather know before I make an offer, before I go to a closing table, 2 days before the client calls up and says, hey, I need insurance. The programs that we utilize, again, not to circle back to that, we don't, a clue to us doesn't mean anything for a newly purchased property, because our clients are going to do what? They're going to fix it and flip it, or they're going to fix it and fill it. So they're going to go and fix it, so we're not as worried about what happened prior, we're worried about, you know, what's going to happen after. Again, it's good. Clue report, yeah. Just like the game Clue. Yeah, just like the game Clue. Comprehensive Loss Underwriting Exchange. Take good notes because there's a quiz at the end of it.
So you one of those who take on your policy?
We don't. We don't with our programs, we don't. What I'm suggesting is that if you're working with your own agent and they run one, they'll run one for you, or go to LexisNexis on your own run the Clue report, it's worth it. To me, it's
Anytime you
worth
get
it.
new insurance, does the insurance?
Personal lines they do. In other words, if you're coming to an agency, we don't deal a lot with personal lines insurance, but if you're coming to an agency and you say, hey, I'd like you to quote my home and cars, they're typically going to run motor vehicle reports on your auto, and a Clue on your auto, and a Clue on your home. So they're going to run them anyway for you. But when you're dealing in our world, typically they don't. Or when you're buying it from Fred, boy, Fred's getting beat up today. When you're buying that house from Fred,